build my gallows and build them high. Makes a long time climbing before I die.
Hello everybody, welcome to Short Bangers. I'm Matty.
I'm Colin.
I'm John.
Oh, I was hoping we were going to hear a different thing then. I was
still holding out for a Clem Fandango. I've got to be honest with you.
One day. I was trying to think of a name before I got involved, but I just couldn't. I was trying to think of something that was topical in the news, but I don't think there's really anything going on there.
I like the names that Bob Mortimer gives folk in Athletico Mints, like Ronnie Hot Dog or like Terry Delightful or things like that. Aye. Right, will we just get straight into the questions? I've got an old one to kick off with.
As opposed to
Inane chat.
Yes, banal chat.
Banal. Inane. Is Inane better than... Is banal better than Inane? What does Inane mean then?
The benefit of banal, if you say banal, is you can then say, oh, it's so bad you take the B out of banal. You see, whereas that doesn't work for Inane.
Is there any words that you can think of? And
yes.
Banal is probably a good example where it sounds bad, but it's actually good. So, like, I think, is it dulcet tones? I always thought that dulcet tones was, it was as if to say, oh, you can't sing. But actually, I think dulcet is a compliment.
Yeah. That's a good question, John. So, words that sound like they should be bad but are actually good. Well, I suppose it depends where you're from. Cunt's a classic example, isn't it? Like, I'm sure we've spoken about that, how it's a term of endearment these days. It used to be the worst word that you could say, whereas now you go,
When do you think it became more common usage, actually? This is one of the things I was just waiting until I could get into segue into the conversation, but it seems like a good moment now. So we say it a lot, right, in general conversation.
Correct.
Certainly between when I talk to you guys and that, and I use it a lot. I use it in the house. I use it regular.
Who in the house are you calling a cunt?
Who's it all?
You've met someone. So anyway, like, when did that become a common and more common usage, right? Because when I was younger, like, my dad swears. My dad says it now to me when I'm talking. Mm-hmm. Not to me, but when he's talking about stuff, he's rarely called me that. But I don't remember, even when I was younger and I was still allowed to hear swearing, that it was as commonly used. Same with comedians. Like, my dad used to watch comedy videos as they were back then when I was 14, 15 and that, Billy Connolly's and all these DVDs. And they had levity and said that. So, like, when did it become a more
there's definitely something broke the back of it, because even like if you watch the American dramas and that, when they drop it in, it's still like meant to have like a big bit like impact. They still take it quite seriously, but what would have changed then?
I don't know, because I'm asking what I was watching. Have you seen on Sky One or whatever that's called now, Sky Showcase, a town called Malice? Have you seen that?
No.
Wouldn't recommend it. Right, it's fucking absolute shite. I watched all the episodes over the last. I've been on this week. Right, we've watched it at various times, and so it's based in the 80s. Like, they basically ran away to Spain, right? Because it's at that point you couldn't be arrested, for crime and murder.
Yeah.
And in there, like, various characters. It's hard for me to explain it, but they would just say, kind of like a Spanish policeman would say something to them, and they would be like, all right, and as they walked away, they would go, cunt, like that. And I'm thinking, that never used to happen in the 80s. Like, that was the, what I mean? It didn't. And but it's a funny programme. It was effectively, I think, Casual's Attire or whatever that Twitter website is. It must have promoted that programme, right? Because they were just walking about in millions of Fila tracksuits, LS tracksuits, a pair of Dora trainers or Gazelles, right? And it's a real weird programme. I've kind of moved away from the acceptance of the word cunt, but they did do it. They had all this gear all the time, right? That they'd run away to Spain with no clothes, but then all of a sudden we're walking about in all these LS tracksuits now. And then came what the mental thing about this as well. Like, it's a brilliant soundtrack, right? Because it's the 80s, the music for the 80s, But they'd come back for an advert break, right? And they'd be sitting by the pool or something, right? And the dog just starts singing like it was part of the musical.
Like, what?
Aye. So it's these like heavy criminal family or wannabe criminal family, and they're lying by the pool and they would just start singing fucking Boy George or something. And you're like, I was just saying, they're going to start singing in a minute. That's what it was kind of like, and it was almost like, genuinely, we were like 2 episodes in and we're going, this is shite, but you kind of just want to know what happens to them. It's only 8 episodes, sort of thing. That's where we got to it. So it's probably not a great review for them. But have a watch and see what you think. But anyway, back to the Acceptance of Cunt.
Ricky Gervais popularised it a bit as well, didn't he? He's started becoming, I know that I would say he was like a trendsetter or anything. He was maybe jumping, because Frankie Boyle, I think, started introducing it a bit more. Mm-hmm. But Gervais got it more mainstream, I think.
Because it wasn't even the 90s, eh? I think it's you're looking at the 90s.
No, it was later than the 90s, yeah, because it was still like the worst word that you could.
Yeah.
Because even South Park didn't drop it in, I don't think. Yeah. And they're quite free and easy with the swearing now.
Yeah.
That is a good word, though.
Is cunt as bad a word than are the Trey Parker, Matt Stone, are they Canadian or are they American?
Canadian.
I know they parody Canadians, don't they, with Terence and Phillip? I'm just trying to work out whether cunts is if it's as frowned upon a word in Canada as it is in America.
Well, I think it's probably worse than Canada. Canadians are quite straight-laced about things, aren't they? They're quite... They're all of them. Aye, all of them.
Every single one of them.
I've been to Canada. I've met them all. I've met them all. But I think they have that reputation, don't they? I mean, there'll be some cunts in Canada as well. Undoubtedly.
Be some good cunts.
Some bad cunts. Aye. Right, will we move on to some questions?
Well, before that, I can ask another word.
Yes.
So back to that programme, Tim called Malice Sky Showcase. It's June now for everybody, right? I don't know if that's one of your adverts or not, but they also used the word ream, right? A couple of times, a few times. Ream as
in good, nice.
Is it? Aye.
Yeah.
Aye. Now, I'm listening to everyone. That wasn't a word in the 80s, right? I thought, was that not a word that came out of like Love Island or something a few years ago, or a Joey Essex thing or something?
Like, did you say ream? Like a ream of paper or... Aye. I thought ream was one of those, it was kind of like if you were to go through someone, you might ream them. Does that sound about right?
No. That's rimming your Hinkley.
Nah, I'm telling you, it's no. I'll get on Urban Dictionary now.
I've never heard of somebody being reamed, like.
I'm telling you, I'm sure it's like to be, reamed out.
No, this is definitely rimming your Hinkley.
No, I'm telling you.
But I thought it was like a good thing. It was like Joe Essex or Love Island or something made up.
To ream somebody out, North American English, informal, this could possibly come up in a Wordle for anyone that's in the Wordle League. To criticise somebody strongly because they have done something wrong.
Oh, there you go. So you could ream us out for not believing you, John.
So you can't call someone a cunt in America, but you can ream them out. That's interesting.
What about Canada? Just those that added lyric complexity on there, eh?
Aye.
But anyway, that wasn't the dream I was talking about. Different context.
Did cunt feature heavily in Sopranos?
Never again.
They started bringing in more, because it was in Game of Thrones quite a lot. So again, I suppose what you need is it for it to land in The Simpsons, eh? And then again, it's properly accepted. Eh? Like Bart's just winding Homer up too much, and he just goes, "Stop it, you wee cunt."
But you're right though, because The Sopranos would have been the 90s, and it was used, but it was used sparingly, like for that impact, that effect, like you say. Whereas now it's just.
I think in The Sopranos they use twat quite a bit, and I assume that they were meaning twat, or we would pronounce it twat. But I can't remember the specific scene, but I'm pretty sure I can remember The Sopranos using cunt once.
Aye.
Twat, did you say?
Twat.
Yeah.
Okay, what that makes me imagine, like, you know, when you see a word and you're not sure how you pronounce it. So that, like, especially if it's like a WA, because sometimes WA you get like a sort of sound like that twat, rather than. But can you imagine if you were going to call one of your mates that and you were meaning twat, but you called them a twat? the rinsing you would have got when you were wee, Ken, for...
Aye.
Did you call me? Twat. Like, that's one, that would be your nickname probably until you were a grown-up. That circle of pals would just be like, we're going to the twats.
Probably get
Why'd
brought
you
up
call him twat? Because he couldn't
in
say
a eulogy
twat.
at your funeral.
He made,
The flowers in the hearse as you were being buried. Taking your
Twat.
burial plot.
he made that one mistake when he was wee.
What have I forgotten?
Twat. Right, Ray of Sunshine on Leith. And Ray, apologies, this question dates back to March and we forgot to ask it. So it's about cocktails is the subject. Have you a favourite cocktail to dunk your wee sausages in? Also, what cocktail is best for cocktail sausages, and should they be fully submerged in said cocktail or suspended from a cocktail stick? Also, why are cocktail sausages called cocktail sausages?
How
think-
many questions was that? That was about 3. I think we need to start limiting folk to 1.
So was it
Fair.
actually? Aye, especially him. But I was kind of wondering where we were coming from with the dipping sausages into a drink, and then you got there in the end, I suppose, with the last question. You go, all right, I still know.
So you must have encountered folk dipping the sausage in the drinks in your rugby days, Colin.
That's a stereotype. You see,
I know.
like the
Well,
like the
but it definitely
Canadians,
happened,
they're
didn't
saying, and like they're all posh lads that wear jumpers round their neck and that.
We were, I've spoken about this stag weekend before. Stag weekend I had in Prague where they had the fight with Bon Jovi. I think I spoke about this on a previous podcast.
Remember?
Was this the same stag that you were on where there was the toilet incident?
Yes. Aye, so same weekend, right? So the night before the toilet incident, so we'd all gone out, right? And obviously not everybody knew each other well because, you know, like the groom had like that sort of circle of friends. That there was some folk for work and some folk that he kent for years and all the rest of it. And there was one of his old mates was there, and he came out wearing this horrendous shirt. So everybody's fucking obviously taking the piss at him, right? They're laughing about it. But one of the other boys on the stag just joined in, but because he didn't ken the boy, the guy got right upset about it, like he was fucking fuming. And the joke carried on all night and all night and all night, right? And then we're in this nightclub, and the boy gets around, and of course everyone's got kilts on and stuff. He goes, fucking, I'll show him. So he teabags the drink pretty much and then puts it up. But the best thing is he forgot which one it was, and he ended up having it himself. He realised we were watching, he's going to have that himself. So not only did he have a shite shirt, he also got a fucking cocky drink as well. That'll teach him. It's a fucking horrible thing to do, though, eh? Like,
Do you think you would notice if someone had dipped their balls in your pipe?
Only if you got a few there.
Straight beard.
if there was physical evidence, you probably would, but I don't know if you would. Depends how many you'd had as well. Like if
Pint of Guinness, it maybe we can nice pattern in the foam.
oh look, they've tried to do a clover. He's a fan of cocktails.
I didn't make them, aye.
I think
But,
sometimes it's quite nice to move on to a fruity or just a different drink for beers or spirits. Get a wee mixture.
Would you
I mind
rather?
actually being out I went out on a date once, and I think me and the bird that was it, we ordered we ordered like a Corona and like a pina colada, and the waiter brought them out and obviously gave me the beer and her the pina colada. We're like, no, wrong with that.
Gender stereotypes. I kind of struggle sometimes with them because I like rum and I like bourbon, and you didn't get an awful lot of spirits with them in it. I know you get some, but they're not very many, and it's all like white sort of vodkas and gins and
Aye.
all that kind of thing. I like an espresso martini though.
Would you rather have a cocktail or a cocktail sausage?
It depends what mood I'm in.
Just now,
Right now, cocktail right now, I think.
right? John?
Would you go to a bar if they served, like if you were to go for a night out, would you go to a bar that served cocktail sausages, and would you go up and order like how many if a bar was to
Get a wee flight of pot cocktail sausages.
like
That's what
you
they
know, you
call
can
it,
get
eh?
like nuts
Flight.
or like bar snacks or whatever. Like
Aye.
how many cocktail sausages do you think the bar would serve as standard? Like
I reckon
5,
maybe
half
8.
a dozen, 8.
Aye, 8
Aye.
max.
Reasonable.
You get like in Tesco's part of the meal deal as a side, you get a wee cocktail sausage thing with a ketchup dip. If
Mayonnaise
that's
in
your
it,
thing.
but 6 or
Ketchup
8.
dip?
Be 6 or 8 in that, eh?
It'll be 6 or 8 round about that number.
That'd be
You-
about the number, I reckon.
Would you trust if they just had a bowl of them on the bar? Would you? Do you know how they used to do it with nuts? Would you?
No, but that's what I know. That was the thing you heard about, eh? It was like nuts covered in shite and piss.
Oh, fucking horrible, eh?
Do you think when COVID got rid of that? It didn't, eh? Because folks still didn't wash their hands, eh? You can hear it again. If you're in the toilets again, you think, these just walk
Aye.
straight back in.
Aye, it's clarity as fuck, eh? Like,
Aye. But
Do you think it's clarity as fuck not to wash your hands after a pee? Like, it's definitely bad when you've done a poo and you've been wiping between your cheeks. But what about a bobby? Do you think a bobby's sterile? Do you think it's
Oh, it's not
reasonable not to
sterile.
wash, or is
No.
it?
I mean, there's times like if you get caught out in the wild and you have to have a piss, and obviously you can't wash your hands then, right? And you just have to come out like when your trousers or whatever, right? But if the opportunity is there to wash your hands, go fucking wash your hands after pissing. Like that's basics, isn't it? Or do you disagree, John? Your face is going.
it sounds like
Yeah,
that question.
I'm just-
You're
I'm
looking at us
curious.
as to say like, but do you have to though?
Well, I just
You'll
like,
have to for
like I
somebody
say,
else in the toilet at the same time, if they're not there and anybody kens it. So that.
well, it's a wee bit like if you didn't indicate a roundabout when there's no other cars there.
It's
Like,
not
does it
like
really
that.
matter?
Right.
I suppose another way to ask the question is: do you think anyone's ever gotten sick from washing your hands after a pee?
Yes.
Do you?
Because I can
Aye,
guarantee
undoubtedly.
that it's happened after a poo, but I'm not too
Undoubtedly.
sure about the bobby.
And I tell you what they're likely if somebody gets like a minging eye or something like that, they're going for a piss and come out and
Funny enough, I'm getting a wee bit of rich eye now.
like that. Do you know what I mean? Like that's the kind of thing that'll happen, or
Hmm.
they'll pass on to something and they'll go shake somebody's hand, but that's the worst.
Well, that's
thing.
why we were having to fucking 30-second hand washes and all
Aye.
that 3 years ago, eh? Was it 20 seconds?
20
30
seconds.
20.
And sing along happy birthday, wasn't it?
Aye,
It was 20 seconds, I'm sure. I can't
it
remember.
was. No, but I'm sure. Well, it was happy birthday. That's what I was confirming.
Yeah. Right, Dave Graham asked, would a fish smoke a cigarette like this or like this? I don't think you'll see it right. Nah,
You do you have the option on your desktop, on your Zoom, to share pictures? I'm sure
But
you do. We need to work this out.
The pictures on my phone.
Aye, but you can email it to yourself, surely.
Ah, fucking John.
Like, didn't he play daft?
Right. So, first fish is
Demonstrate.
fag out the mouth. Right?
Right.
Standard as you would expect.
2-finger one.
Aye, like that. Second fish though. Aye, what's it doing? Stuck in the gill.
Mm.
Which makes more sense for a fish, really, when you think about it. So, and ignore the logistics of lighting a cigarette underwater and all the rest of it. This is like a
waterproof cigarettes.
waterproof fag. How's the fish taking it?
Well, what if? Well, you can take water out of the equation if fish are going to the surface for a wee fag break. Like, so get some fresh air, a wee smoke.
Right.
Oh,
Can
you
I-
can do that if you want, eh? That works as well.
Is it also, like, correct me if I'm wrong here as well, right? But
Taking a break from some fishing.
is
Fishing about, take a wee break for a fag. Yep.
but take the human example. So we're saying out the mouth, right? So is our what did you call
The
what
gills.
did you- the gills? Is that like the nose? Like we didn't spoke through your nose, did we? Like breathing in.
They're not, because I don't think a fish can breathe in through its mouth. But the fish's mouth is only for digestion, I think, like for
Right.
ingestion.
So is their gills their nose?
Aye, I suppose so.
So would that mean that we should smoke a cigarette through our nose then? Would that make more sense?
I don't know. I wouldn't want to smoke a
Because-
cigarette through my nose. Put it that way.
No,
Like
well, and I think a fish would want to take it in through its gills.
the fish looks. It looks cooler because obviously smoking is cool. Something looks cool,
Aye.
right?
Uh-huh.
The fish looks cooler with it out its mouth, I think.
See the sort of fucking thing with vaping and that now. Like
Uh-huh.
it's just not as cool, eh? like
Nah.
as a fag, and it doesn't smell as good either. Kind of that fucking sweet like stuff. I'd rather just smell an actual cigarette.
I'm
I didn't mind
no.
the smell of it. Like I've never smoked, right? Kind of obviously, like never smoked properly. Like tried them, but never smoked, right? But the sparking up of a fag, like with a match, ideally, that's even better than a lighter. And then the initial sort of bit, I didn't mind that. Like when you used to get it going to the football, you still get it sometimes when you're outside the match and that, eh? The boys spark up.
Or in the toilets at Hampden.
Well, that's not so good because it's like there's loads of them. Can I isolated cigarette here and there? I didn't mind the smell of it. It's when it's all together. It's not as good. But the vaping, like, it's just shite.
I'm
Like
no.
strawberry and fucking kiwi fruit and all that.
Aye.
What are you doing?
I'm not a smoker either, but what you described, Colin, like I quite like the smell of that as well. And I wonder
Yeah.
if for the smoker, if that first smell that we get as non-smokers is as good as like that first mouthful of a pint.
I think that the smoker's first joy of fag is to clear all the shite out and make them feel better, right away. Like because that's what the first fag they do does. They go in a coffin fit and clear all the phlegm out, and they
get
go,
it
"That was
out.
magic. Needed that, right?" And then carrying on, and just makes it all build up all the day again, so they've got to do it again the next day, I guess. But I bet that smell, you're maybe right. That because I think the smell of a cigarette like that's quite good. But vaping, even that, they didn't even hold a vape like properly, like how you would say how you hold a fag. So that
You wouldn't imagine like James Dean and that for the
So it's
for
next
the movies, kind of getting in the motorbike and stopping for a vape with a big fucking cloud of fragrant smoke behind them.
And by the way, how many, like there must be some industry though, eh? See how many vape shops, like shops that are actual fucking massive big bits of shop.
Aye, there's a vape shop round the Abbeyview in Dunfermline, and I got in. Somebody asked me to pick up a vape for them, right? And went in and says to the guy, "You got this, whatever the type was?" And he went, "Oh, nah." And he gave me like a wee look. I can't remember the flavour I asked for. I says, "Well, have you got this flavour instead?" And he went, "Oh, I have got them. I'm not allowed to sell them." I was like, "Right, have you got one that you're allowed to sell?" He's like, "Are you trading standards?" I was like, "No, I'm just picking up for somebody, mate. To be honest with you," he's like, "I'll get you the one you were after then." And he just went through the back and came through.
So what's the deal there? Did you look into that?
Nah, I'm looking at it for Wednesday for me. He said, I asked him, I said, "How come you're not allowed to sell them?" He says, "There's too much nicotine in them. They're only allowed so much." He says, "But it's stupid because you could just buy 2 or 3.
Aye.
And it's the
That's
same."
like that's like going and buying 16 fucker 32 paracetamols, eh?
Aye.
You can't buy a packet of Nurofen at the same time. You're like, come on, fuck.
Aye.
You just run it through the till like separately then.
Aye, and that's it, and I'll go round and get them the next time. Crazy. Aye, but he was like looking about.
How dear's a vape then? Do you know?
They're I think anywhere between about £7 and a tenner, round about that figure.
So same as a packet of fags then.
Aye, I think there
So
is.
you're not saving money by going on to it then.
Nah, just save your lungs a bit. I think, although I did
That's not proven either, is it?
I did ken how safe they are. Anyway, Charlie McGrew thinks you made that up. Is Fruit of their loins, has the son of a famous footballer ever surpassed the achievements of their fathers? Any you can think of?
Frank Lampard.
Lampard's a good shout, by the way. I'm trying to think who else is.
Jimmy Redknapp.
Jimmy Redknapp.
Aye.
The family's there, huh?
Casper Schmeichel, but he wasn't as good as his dad. His dad got more trophies and everything than him.
Aye.
Eh?
Paul Dalglish.
Well, I'll tell you what. How many Derby winners did his dad have a fucking hand in? None. But Paul Dalglish did, so he gets my vote.
It must be other odds away.
Aye, there must be. I can't
No,
remember.
there isn't the way because. Aye, but well, there will be. It's just that you maybe didn't know their dad was that good. That's the thing. You automatically think you like Dalglish and
I think
others.
Who's the Argentinian boy? Was it McAllister?
Gary McAllister's laddie.
Aye. Well, I think there was, if I remember
Jimmy
rightly, during the World Cup, there was a picture of his dad doing the rounds. And I want to say that he looked a bit like like Billy Brown. Like
Oh, he's
this boy,
Irish
had
or
obviously,
something, that boy, eh?
aye, he, like
Aye.
like the family had emigrated
Yeah.
like about 100 years ago or whatever. So he's kind of like third generation Irish or whatever. But you obviously, I think his dad had played for Argentina, but he's not. I think because football is not necessarily as it's bigger now than it ever was. Like the guy was an international footballer, but you've never heard of him unless you've got proper encyclopedic knowledge.
The 100%. Come on, it's an interesting question, but I think it's because, as I say, you go Cruyff, right? Oh, he's well, his lad he played for Man United, but isn't he? Come on, mate, Dalglish. Oh, they boys. There'll be loads of boys that played League Two that the laddies went on and played in the Premier League. You just don't know who the dad is because.
Yep.
Yeah, that's true. Aye. So it's the ones that have to surpass their fathers that will stick in the mind because their fathers were world famous.
Yeah,
Who was it? Who was the commentator or pundit during the? I'm sure it was during the lockdown, the pandemic, that had said that Mike Newell was Joe Newell's dad. I'm sure it was on Hibs TV.
I'm sure it was on Hibs TV, but
I
he's
can't remember that.
And
he's
was
not.
it?
It's wrong, isn't it?
Aye,
Because Joe Newell's dad listens to this.
aye.
Aye.
Because
Well,
I remember going like,
yeah.
hang on, how the
We'll
fuck
just
did I
let-
miss that Mike Newell, former Luton, former Aberdeen player, is Joe Newell's dad? How are we only just finding out about it now? And it was because
Somebody
it was
just made it
shite.
up. Somebody got fed a line of shite. That wasn't the Cliff, I bet you know.
No,
Cliff
Cliff
wouldn't fall for that
Cliff wouldn't have
No way.
fallen for that.
I
Right,
want
but-
to say who was I forget his name. The one that Kaiser Soze thinks is a wanker.
David Tanner.
David Tanner. I think it was maybe Tanner.
Oh, was it?
I think, but I might be
Fuck's sake.
misremembering because it was a wee while ago.
Right.
Mind
we're-
Eddie's, eh?
Aye.
Mind that. Fuck, it feels like years ago, eh?
Aye.
I'm saying like it was a while ago. It was 2 years ago.
I know, but it feels. That's what I mean. It feels like longer.
Aye. Speaking of feeling like longer, we're out of time.
Aye, good.
We have run out of time. Do you think we should? I'm just thinking how cunt heavy this episode was at the start. Should we, when we publish it, should we put a wee warning out to say cunt
Did
heavy
we start-
episode?
Did we start naming Short Bangers episodes? Because like we could maybe put that in the subject header
Just put
or the
cunt
title
heavy.
now. Aye, kind of heavy.
Cunt heavy or heavy cunt? Totally different meanings, eh?
I think cut heavy because then that would get a lot of extra Google searches.
Aye.
It's a cunt of an episode.
Right, I'll do that. Obviously, I'll probably have to start out because I don't think that will get onto the podcast page. I don't think they allow it, but
Shri cunts.
Shri cunts. Right, so we're out of time. We've got next question is for Tom Wallace. Tom, if you're listening, you'll get on Short Bangers Extra, which I know you subscribe to. If you want to subscribe, you can now subscribe only to Short Bangers. It's £2 a month. You go to longbangers.hubwave.net and you pick the Short Bangers option, and all you'll get is the Short Bangers content. You'll get none of the Hib stuff if that's not your bag. If you want to get both, you can do that as well. Anyway, in the meantime, thanks for tuning in, and we will see you next time.
Well, they trailed me down when I broke free. I drank all the whiskey in Tennessee. I don't